Other than the occasional Grand Theft Auto every decade and a brilliant high-effort title every few years, we rarely get good story-based games anymore. You might think that there are no more good stories left to tell, but in this video I'll show you 8 reasons why we really don't see any good stories told in games anymore. So stick around till the end, drop a like on the video, and let's get started. The first and less obvious reason is that gaming studios today are very controversy avoidant, which really limits your ability to create intrigue. Take for example the original Call of Duty Black Ops 1. In the game you take control over Alex Mason, who's a CIA operative that was captured in Cuba after attempting to assassinate Fidel Castro. After he was captured, he was sent to a Russian gulag where he got brainwashed to be a Russian sleeper agent and escaped the prison. When he got back to the US, he went into deep cover black operations during the Cold War under the CIA flag, and he is even implicated in the JFK assassination. It takes balls to tell that kind of story today because in today's climate, you'd probably offend every slice of the audience online. Taking another example from the Call of Duty franchise, we have the mission No Russian in the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. In the mission you tear through a Russian airport filled with civilians while committing endless amounts of war crimes under the flag of a Russian terrorist as a CIA operative undercover in his squad. This mission was actually recreated in the Modern Warfare 3 version of the rebooted series, and it was extremely disappointing and neutered to say the least, because you just can't do it the same way that it was today. Now I'm not talking about being controversial just for controversy's sake and for shock value, that's just cheap shock jockery. I'm talking about rightfully using it as a tool to create intrigue and buzz around your game and story. It could be a very effective tool to tell a story when it's done in the right way. The next reason might be an extension of the previous one since it's the same symptom but a different disease. It seems like today you just can't display realistic behaviors or realistic depictions of complex characters acting and reacting just as they would in real life. I know the next two examples are from TV, but I got one from gaming as well, so bear with me. Two of the most critically acclaimed and in my opinion best shows on TV are The Sopranos and The Wire. Both try to create accurate depictions and social commentary on their subject matter. In The Sopranos you'll see how an old-fashioned 40-something Italian mob boss who deals with black business partners doesn't want his daughter dating a black man. You'll see him use racial and anti-gay slurs throughout the show just like how you would imagine a mobster who grew in the 60s would. The show doesn't shy away from that. In the season 2 of The Wire, you see what they call Wigas, which are white teens glorifying gang culture and drug culture, using African American slang and the N-word when referring to each other. A white man saying the N-word even with a soft A just won't fly today. On the other hand, you have shows like Billions, which inserted a non-binary Mary Sue character, and for some reason, even the ruthless hedge fund manager that cynically took advantage of 9/11 uses the character's preferred pronouns when they're talking about them and they're not in the room, which feels very out of place.
Taylor knows I'm front-running their positions. They've figured it out. This is their solution to that. How they're gonna spin it?
A good equivalent to that in gaming is that one Call of Duty World War II mission where one of your squad mates is racist at the beginning of the mission and is no longer racist after one mission with a black soldier. GTA 5 is a good example in the gaming world where if you play as Franklin you see a lot of soft bigotry like other white characters code switching around you, general police brutality, and the FIB torture scene, which is not easy on the eye. These are just a few examples among many other complex themes explored in the game that other games won't touch today. GTA 5, The Sopranos, and The Wire are all masterful depictions of reality combined with great social commentary, and all three are a great story experience because of that. 10% of what makes them great is them not sugarcoating their product and exposing the ugly underbelly that idiots online would like to ignore or forget.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
The third reason is a small one in my opinion, and it's kinda rare in gaming, but it still happens and it's worth covering. Forced diversity is an issue when you create the gender and racial composition of your cast before even writing the story. It can also happen when you forcefully inject diversity where it shouldn't go. See for example Battlefield 5. This game should have been a layup. Graphics and hardware had really improved since we last received a World War II shooter. The entire gaming community was itching for it, but somehow DICE managed to fumble it. You can see it in Dr. Disrespect's initial reaction to the reveal trailer, which made him think this game was a cyberpunk shooter.
A steampunk feel. And the director right here, this is a big emphasize. Look at that, boom, the zoom in, right? The quick zoom in. Hold on, we're still zooming in on it. We want everyone to know that this is all about steampunk and that.
I'm not blaming him after seeing a redhead female British amputee soldier and a katana-wielding African soldier in the same squad. There's nothing wrong with that squad composition if they made the game in their own unique universe, but this is supposed to be a World War II game, where they're telling, quote, untold stories. It gets worse in the single-player campaign where they engage in history revision around a mission that really happened and took 20 brave men to accomplish it. DICE decided to take that mission and give the credit to two women, a mother and a 60-year-old daughter, which never took part in it in real life. On another mission following a Senegalese French soldier, they do some heavy racial baiting based on very inaccurate history and mixing of several events. The worst part is that it wasn't even needed because the Senegalese were a very renowned and accomplished force in the French army, but for some reason the real material wasn't enough for them. Forced diversity doesn't always happen in gaming, but when it does, it almost kills a franchise. Battlefield as a franchise was almost destroyed because of Battlefield 5.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
The fourth and fifth reason, in my mind, go hand in hand. Multiplayer games and modes are very lucrative, while story-based games and modes require higher effort. You can fill multiplayer modes with battle passes, skins to sell, pay-to-win mechanics, and after you've built it once, you can reskin the mode for the next release with minimal effort. See every sports game in the last decade and the recent Call of Duty game. Multiplayer is much more forgiving for microtransactions, whereas in single-player paid titles, a whiff of microtransactions outside of a DLC would cause an uproar. Story modes are a higher effort affair than the average multiplayer mode, because they require motion captioning, complex animations, and actors, since most games today are not text-based. They also require good writing, high effort research into the subject, and that will only allow the studio to sell the game once, with no extra payments other than DLCs, which would require more writing, more motion captioning, etc. I want to caveat that the sixth reason is not inherently the cause, because open world games can create a great single player experience and at times a great story experience as well. See games like GTA 5 and Baldur's Gate 3 for example, they have a good story because these open world games were carefully crafted and had years of details and effort put into them. It's way easier to tell a good story when you can carefully curate the experience and have the player go on a yellow brick road with very little deviation. Almost like an interactive movie that you move along as a silent protagonist. That's why the campaigns of the early Call of Duties are really good in my opinion. Killing the bad guy with only your pistol as you bleed out is way better in terms of telling a story than your character killing the enemy in 1000 different possible ways. I think the insistence on open world in every modern game without putting the required effort into that world really hinders you when you try to tell a good story. It even takes away developmental resources that could be put into making the story richer and better.
Stupid, I'm not gonna let you get the chance.
The seventh reason is the culmination of most of the previous reasons. The audience is dumber, or the studios don't care for themes and stories where the language is more colorful, the ideas are more controversial, or the subject matter is just too complex. This was brought to my attention after reading an interview where the creator of The Sopranos admits that he's been asked to dumb down a show that he was pitching because it was too complex. You can't risk exploring controversial or deep topics anymore, even in a responsible way, because some idiot might take it the wrong way and try to cancel you or your game. The final reason for me is that social media like TikTok and YouTube Shorts had spoiled everyone with instant gratification, which in result extremely shortened the attention span of the audience. This means that slower paced stories are less desirable and it leaves you only with fast paced, action packed campaigns, which can be great but very limiting. I don't think that this short attention span had fully materialized yet in the gaming world, but you can see it everywhere else in the media we consume, and I think we would see the full effect of it 10 years down the line. Maybe I've grown old and I'm just babbling, and great stories are plenty in today's climate. Let me know what you think in the comments, and check out this video you see on screen right now to see how crazy and outrageous all WWE games were.